to me, anxiety is like a plague at the moment. That
It's always been a plague, you know. It's interesting, because I don't know, on my Instagram I have a lot of videos too, and sometimes I don't know what makes it to YouTube or doesn't, but there's a lot of information on there about, you know, even before this pandemic hit us, where I'm talking about, hey, we're about to get upended, um, because no one's paying it. Well, not enough people are paying attention, etc. But you know, mental health is a plague. Anxiety is a plague. You know, self-hatred's a plague. Loneliness is a plague. Right? Lack of self-love is a plague. There's all kinds of things that are finally have gone into this soup pot of a low vibration collectively, and now here we are in this massive pandemic, and we can't seem to escape it because not enough people are paying attention to the whole point of it in the first place. They're just pointing fingers and getting angrier, or, you know, the racism is, I don't know, you know, around where here in the United States, it's like this fever pitch of, for me, emotional wounds, you know, because I can feel into and see like the vibration of the energy is, you know, matching the vibration of the pandemic, the low, the dark. It's a dark, low vibration, this pandemic, and it's clean. It's able to stay around because if you know, energetically, the best way to explain it is it's almost like it's sticking to it. The plague or the pandemic has a low vibration to stick to,
yes.
because there's just more. It just keeps getting, instead of people waking up, which is what you were just talking about, and actually coming inward and being self-responsible. You see, as you said, you know, we're seeing charlatans, but there's, instead of people coming in and being self-responsible and healing whatever it is they said that they would heal on the planet, they're out there trying to help and heal everybody else instead of sitting in their own emotional pain, you know, and healing. And so there's so many things to say about that, but you know, for me, as you say, I'm humbled by this work and this purpose. For me, you know, it takes a lot for me to not, you know, go to panic or anger about that, because I do understand and live in faith, but that there's a lot of endangering things going on out there right now with people who are not yet ready, they have not yet healed enough to gather the tools enough to get people from one side of, you know, the bridge to the other, that are, you know, having people come in and rely on them to be able to do that, and then they're all in the middle of the bridge without a way to get to the other side, you know what I mean? But if that makes sense. So there's just, it's like the vibration is panic, you know.
What would you say? I absolutely agree, and I see that on, you know, on social media when I see people talking, and that panic is, you're getting people who otherwise would have commonality finding, arguing about it. Had to switch off from that because I just, you know. But what would you say to someone? So I personally believe the only person we're responsible for is ourselves. We have personal responsibility, and if we are happy, well-adjusted people, that's what we will put out into the world. We can only give good things. What would you say to someone who was feeling panic, was feeling fear, and so they were externalizing, that they're putting responsibility of their emotion and feeling on what's happening in the world, which they can't control? If you had to give them a simple piece, a difficult question, but what would you advise them?
Actually, you know, it's funny because it sounds like a difficult question, but what I know through my own journey to standing in this purpose is, you know, the first step to anything. And I'm sorry, I have to, my nose, we have so many fires here, it's crazy. So the smoke is annoying, but the first step to anything is, everyone, doesn't matter what religion you're part of or what belief, you know, which is the next thing is, faith is not a religion.
Mhm.
Faith is an unwavering knowing, not a believing,
Mhm.
but a knowing that every single one of us in a body are divinely guided 100% of the time.
Mhm.
And whether people believe that or know that yet, it's still the truth.
Mhm.
You see, we've got God who's non-denominational, just this beautiful, powerfully vulnerable masculine energy, who's the overseer of everything, who does not belong to any religion. And that's hard for people to hear because people cling to religion in order to, you know, understand who they are or what they're supposed to do on the planet, instead of connecting in to your own divine connection to your guides, the spirit guides. I call them my peeps.
Mm.
And God, non-denominational, and any of your loved ones on the other side, and just say, help me, I want to get on this journey. I'm trying to rein it in. I want to know that you're here around me. Please show me a pretty big sign that you are here, because I need to walk in faith, and lead me to and through whatever healing that I have left to do, and towards whatever life purpose I signed up for, because the truth is, it's a beautiful, we agree upon all this before we come in and take a body. See, we're just spirit as well in a physical body. We came in order to serve our own soul, and something that I want people to understand, because it frees us of so much pain, and it connects us to our own strength, soul strength, is to understand that before we come in and we decide to take a body, number one, it's a courageous thing to do, because it's not easy in being human, right?
Mhm.
It's not easy being in the human experience. We think everything matters and everything's hard and difficult, like everything is, clobbers us. And so the way that it works, and I've seen, in 700-800 sessions, and in my own life, before we come in and take a body, we agree and choose our wounds, because we understand at our highest level consciousness that wounds are tools for transcendence, our own soul's transcendence, ascendance, and that we take them on to serve our own soul. And so, and then we understand also that we're signing up for amnesia. Literally, we know this, we agree to all of it. Our guides, we already select, and they already agree to be with us through the whole journey, the whole thing. And we're grateful for it. Like, for instance, the analogy they liked me to use, because this simplifies it, is like, I'm adopted, right?
Mhm.
So on the other side, when I'm filling my basket with all these wounds, because I know what a badass I am, it's like, now I understand how powerful and strong I am. Did I always? Heck no. And it took some fierce wake-up calls for me. But on the other side, one of the wounds I put in my basket is abandonment,
Mhm.
for instance. So this soul on the other side, who's not yet my birth mother, steps forward and says, in order to be in service to your soul and its transcendence, I will come in and create the wound of abandonment on your soul's behalf. Because remember, it's a tool for transcendence. So oh my gosh, wow, thank you, for being in service to my soul on that level. Because certainly that's going to create wounds, right?
Mhm.
For my birth mother. And then a million other wounds, right? And then my peeps, my guides say, remember, when you go in there, you're going to forget that this was all, you chose all these tools, these wounds on your own soul's behalf, because of what you are committed to do this time in a body. And, so yes, but we'll be with you, and we will start waking you up when it's time. We will hold all the experiences for you, the good, the bad, the trauma, all of it. They're with us.
Do you think in yours, because I obviously heard about your story, you told it to Montel, and that time when you went to Los Angeles and you talked about, and you couldn't stop it. It was spiraling down and nothing you did work. And do you think that that's part of the journey, that actually maybe as spirits or people, sometimes we have to get to that rock bottom to have that journey up? Do you think that's part of it?
I think, yeah, what I understand, through my own education with spirit, because I'm spirit taught, and my own understanding and appreciation for my choices and for my guidance, is that for me, my soul needed two things. I chose it because I'm so strong, and I'm very committed, and I've always been committed, even when I didn't remember it, committed to humanity and healing. And so I took all that on, but also I needed every one of those experiences that I had. Moving to LA from San Francisco was just what brought me to my knees. But I experienced a lot of trauma as a kid, and as an adult, because of course, when you're a wounded kid, you call in wounded experiences. You don't, there's a lack of self-love. There's a lack of worth. There's a lack of all kinds of things. So you're in that vibration. So you just continue calling in these experiences until you say, no, I'm going to heal. But I understand that I needed to have the experiences I did, because sitting where I'm sitting today in this purpose, doing this God's work and doing these sessions with people, there is nothing that anyone could show up in front of me with that I don't understand and have absolute compassion for. And a very deep understanding. And it's one of the ways and one of the reasons that it's so easy for spirit and God to communicate with me and to show me emotion. They'll put emotion or pain or whatever in my own body momentarily for me to understand what they're trying to communicate to whoever's in front of me. Because words are human being, we communicate in a vibration. And so it's so easy for me to understand, because they'll just show me something, an emotion that I can recognize the vibration of. And does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
And I also, always knew that I would come to a place like in LA where I was stripped of everything but faith, after being wealthy realtor and all this stuff, and terrified and broken, with a suicide plan. That's something that my soul always knew I would come to, not consciously as a human being, but my soul, my highest level consciousness knew that. Is it needed to happen, because being brought to unwavering faith saved my life. And it changed the direction of my life. And so now, and continues to on a daily basis. And so now it's also part of what they want me to teach on their behalf, is that the road to, whether you're healing emotional pain or you're trying to move into a life purpose or create abundance, or, literally anything that you're trying to create on the planet begins with faith, because you're rolling with an army every single day, and we're not using them.
And how do people who don't have that faith, what would you say to how can they take that first step? How can they, and it might be totally individual to each person, but do you have any advice for them?
Well, it is. And so we started talking about that a few minutes, which is, 4 years ago, when I was in the middle of my own healing process, before I started actually doing sessions with other people, I was in one of my, sessions with my own peeps. I was told stand up. So I stood up, because that's how clear the communication is. And I trust it, because I have the faith. And they taught me this spirit taught me what at the time was earth and sky, masculine, feminine, this breathing in the light. And it's when they started also teaching me about the etheric body, which is why my practice is called Etheric Medicine, because they started I was able to start visualizing. It's not an aura, it's, you know, it's like our etheric body came first with our soul. Our soul came in with our etheric body, which is, you know, Kirlian photography, quantum physics, there's tons of scientific information about it. And then our physical body is simply a hologram. It's not the other way around. And this is something else that I really want people to start understanding, because it's the path to wellness. It's the first, you know. And so when I started being taught, that's our etheric body is a light body. We are light beings in this dense physical form that is a hologram. So we need oxygen for this dense physical body, but we need light for our etheric body. And, you know, so this is, I guess, something I'm supposed to be talking about because it's coming through here. So so they started teaching me this exercise. So I taking these deep breaths and pulling the light in, because what I was understanding is like the trauma, you know, even though my life was changing everything, the debris, the energetic debris of emotional wounds and physical wounds was still in my etheric body. And I was able to start visualizing where it was when I would tune in. I didn't have to look at my arms, but it's almost like I was looking at my hologram. And then I would start clearing it with my breath. I would bring light in and start targeting it and taking it and throwing it off. And I, at the time, I was healing my masculine feminine. So they taught me we all are both. Spirit, you know, our energy, we're both. We're not men or women on the other side. We're spirit. And so to have a balanced masculine feminine energy is vital, so that we're moving in the world in this balanced vibration, first of all. And I had no idea, and it healed me. It healed what it was that I was, you know, because I never felt part of like being a woman, and I never felt like a boy, but I never felt like part of like, yay, girl power either. So it was becoming something that I was questioning, you know, like what's going on with this? Because, you know, I'd see a lot of my, you know, girlfriends, my female friends being like, yeah, like, you know, not full tilt feminism, but like girl power, you know? Yeah. And I was like, God, you know, they seem to really be into that. You know, what does that feel like? And that's just the truth. You know, it's a vulnerable truth, but it's the truth. And so I started asking God and my peeps, what's that? What is that? Am I supposed to kind of feel like both in physical forms for my purpose? Or is there something I need to heal? And so this is answering your question, because this breathing the light exercise that spirit taught me, I thought at the time was for me. And now today, 4 years later, I finally went and posted it. They had me do a video, stand up, you know, and I'm, you know, shy and whatever. And I did the whole thing on a video for everyone to have access to. Because
is that the one where you're on a bridge?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so because I'll put that on the so people can see. Yeah, I
that would be wonderful, because what I learned just 2 weeks ago, I know it's the spirit jumps around a lot, so sometimes you have to just hang with it. 2 weeks ago, I learned, you know, it came through in someone else's session that, you know, that to answer your question, that spirit taught breathing the light is so. They created it in a way that is so individual for every single person, you know. And you see a lot of like, you know, meditations or breathing or whatever, and it seems at first like, oh, it's just another breathing exercise, you know. But it's actually that it's like spirit taught so that we can begin communing. It's like the first step to not only healing and balancing your energy body and understanding that, hey, you need your energy, your etheric body needs to be well for your physical body to be well. Because when you start stagnating in the etheric body, and then no one's paying attention to that, and then the stagnation turns to density. Density is what duplicates into the physical body, and then it's called, autoimmune, cancer, like, you name it. Any kind of illness it's a stagnation in the energy body. Or physical trauma that, whether it's a car accident or whatever. We're not talking about violence necessarily, but anything that comes in has to come through the energy body first.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't clear that impact, it sits in the etheric body, which intersects with our physical body like about 6 inches.
Mm-hmm.
And has its own electrical system, which is meridians and everything else, which is also a communication center, really, between the physical and the etheric, and they work together, which is why we need both. This is etheric medicine, we need Western medicine, because we have both. They need to work together. And so yes, to answer the long way around is like, you want to start by clearing, whether it's with that or anything else, by starting to come in here and start doing self-care at that level with your, committing. And you're talking to moms, right? Who are kind of flailing around and stuff, is like, that's foreign to a lot of moms. Self-care.
Absolutely. There's guilt.
I'm lucky if I brush my teeth. Yeah, I know. And so it sounds so simple, but one of the first things you have to do, and I work with a lot of moms, a lot of women, which is also why I had to balance my masculine and feminine. 99% of my clients are women. I love working with men too, but this is my purpose. And it sounds, self-care. And then I say, when people sign up to do, weekly sessions with me, I'll say, hey, did you do the breathing the light? No, I didn't have, I didn't have time. So you don't have 5 minutes to devote to self-care. Is that what you're saying? But you want your life to change. Mm-hmm. You want to feel energized and healthy and beautiful. You want to lose some weight. You want to wonder what you're doing on the planet, but you're not asking. You see, there is no quick fix. Mm-hmm. Although you can turn it around pretty quick when you start caring enough about yourself to devote an hour. It's about an hour, but this breathing the light is 5 minutes, and you wouldn't believe how many people try to tell me they didn't have time to do it. Mm.
But do you find that sometimes though people they want to get rid of this, like, I don't want to feel this anymore, but actually they're not ready to, it gives them something, they're comfortable in discomfort, and actually they're reluctant to let go of it, and maybe there's something like that, like you're giving them the key but they're not really doing it because part of them's not ready.
Yeah, I think there's a couple from what I know, and what there's a couple things, which is number one, sometimes people will push it away, or women, because they lack compassion for themselves. Mm-hmm. And because what's in there, because when kids get older or whatever, and they don't need as much, all of a sudden you're like, oh, you either become increasingly obsessive with your kids. The more pain, it's not a judgment, but I see it all the time when women have to kind of start sitting with themselves because they have a little more free time. They'll find ways to become more obsessive about anything other than just sitting with themselves and starting like this exercise that Spirit taught. It's beautiful because not only are you breathing in light and you're clearing and balancing, you're committing to yourself, and you're saying, I'm going to show up for myself. And hey, you know what? I have self-loathing. Women that carry, I'm ashamed of my anxiety. I have shame. I have this, I have that. And when we can just say, hey kid, you're amazing. You're guess what? You survived all the things that are holding you back. You already survived them. So don't be so afraid of yourself, because if we're terrified of what ends up being like your little girl, and it sounds like 101, but it is the truth. If you cannot turn and face that kid and say, hey kid, guess what? You're fine. You're beautiful. You're brilliant. You're worth 5 minutes. You're here on the planet for your own reasons. Then you continually are shunning that kid, you, over and over and over and over on a daily basis, instead of saying, hey, this is what I have. It is what it is. Like, here we are today. Who am I? Hey, if you're around me, I'm just going to start believing you're around me, peeps. And God, non-denominational. And, and I want to start getting on my own path, but another thing that comes through for women from Spirit is like, if your children are or were your whole identity, then who do they get to be?
Mm-hmm.
If they're your identity, then who do they get to be? But also, who do you get to be? Right? Because it's not the truth.
Mm-hmm.
As much as we love our kids and stuff, it's like, it's still not the truth. I mean, we came in here to heal and to live some sort of life of purpose. All of us did. We signed up to be in service in one way or another. Otherwise, it's a spiritual law. You can't come in here just to clown around.
Can I ask that, because you talk about, I think you talk about dark spirits, like avoiding, like Moya, you talked about avoiding those. And what about those people that, when you see them live a life and you see them hurt people and cause chaos and cause like just darkness,
Mm-hmm.
is that their purpose, or are they not true to their purpose, and what happens to them?
Well, yeah, that's an interesting question, because I see a lot of things, and I might not go into a lot of detail just because it's so real.
Yeah.
You talk about it and you're calling it in, and it's truly no joke. But like, that darkness will come in on addiction, for instance. So and it starts to puppeteer the person that is in, because addiction's a low vibration, and because we don't become addicts unless we're in a ton of emotional pain and deep woundedness, unhealed. Could be from this life, could be from another life, could be a culmination of 10 lives. It's soul dependent, right? It's but here you are with it. And sometimes when you see people behaving that way, and there's sometimes they seem bipolar, or severe mental health issues with addiction and all kinds of stuff. 99% of the time they have the weight of darker things attached to them. And so it's really important, because number one, we can't save those. It's not for us to save those people, because they are on their own journey. They have their guides, they have God. It's just that if you don't start turning to it and asking for help, hey, I need help here, like pull me through this and get this stuff off of me or whatever. If they're not going to do that, all you can do is send them light and love and everything. But what's hugely important is that if you have someone around you like this, that you protect yourself energetically. So, if you want to, fill your body with light, it's like, think of yourself as like a blimp or something, and your energy body is full of light. And then you also ask your peeps and God, like, protect me, wrap me in light, and protect me from any of this low vibration, because it truly does affect us. It affects us mentally and physically. And sometimes we'll be like, what is going on? Why am I, especially people with anxiety, then there can be a feeling of paranoia. Like it's intense stuff.
And are there souls that don't complete their like we come here with a purpose and we come here with healing that we have to do? Are there people that don't achieve that? Is that possible? Do people go through this life and don't, and do they simply have to come back and relearn it?
Well, what's interesting is that when I was at that place of being stripped, and the whole story that comes before that, but when I was in LA, and I was so I had no family, my parents were both on the other side, and friends, the whole thing. I was so terrified, and I said to God and my guides, you guys, I must be such a horrible person to be experiencing this, and I can't turn it around this time. So I'm thinking that I just need to come home. Like, am I supposed to just come back and hit the reset button because I screwed up so big? Like, and I believe, I was really, that I wasn't feeling sorry for me. I just was like, did I get so far off track that I can't get back on? Because I want to come back. I don't intend to renege on anything, but I can't. This is intolerable. So you're gonna have to let me know. Because my plan is 5 days away to come back, and I need you to either show me that I'm supposed to stay, and then how the heck do I get survive this, or just let me come back. And then some, it was a defining moment, because I understood, and because I heard my own voice respond to what I heard, which was like, I just don't know what it is that's left to heal. I'm not trying to not, please show me whatever it is. So I understood, and since then I've understood that yes, there are some people that choose to leave via suicide, overdose, which is similar, vibrationally similar, because the pain is so deep. And sometimes those people get stuck in the middle. They're not here, but they're not on the other side yet, because that dark stuff is holding them. But the minute that because I've watched it and I have actually helped some of them cross, is the minute that they are freed of that darkness, spirit, their guides and angels, like, they're taken in and just infiltrated with beautiful yellow orange light, and loved and cocooned just like anybody else. And there is no punishment or anything for getting to the other side, having lived your life without having served your life purpose, your agreed upon life purpose. There's no punishment before God or your guides, or spiritually, or but what I understand is, we as a soul, we really want to. We really want to keep our word with our own soul. There, like I said, there is no threat of, a lack of pride or love or judgment or demerits from God or our guides or anything. There is nothing like that. It's just, it's a funny analogy, but you know, like getting to the other side and you're like, you forge some other, you know, life purpose, such as, like you were saying, there's a lot of charlatans out there right now, right, who are using this, you know, big wellness industry to create an entrepreneurial experience for themselves, instead of like, I want to be in service. I feel my soul, like I've been guided and led to this because I've asked, because I care, because instead of just like, hey, I'm going to jump on the bandwagon, I'm going to get somebody who knows how to market really, really well, I'm going to say all the right things, and then people are going to start coming to me. Those people also have some life purpose that may or may, you know, it's like, but when they get to the other side, the only thing that's going to happen is when we review the movie of our life is like, I didn't do it. You know, I screwed, I didn't do it. You know, I did all these other ego or whatever. And this is why things, the walls seem like they're closing in on us with one thing after another that's demonstrating the collective low vibration on the planet. Is like, we want to, it's spirit trying to get us to keep our word. We need to start healing. We need to start taking self responsibility for our soul's journey here. Not other people, you know, minding everyone else's business or putting other people down for not wearing a mask or wearing a mask or this or that. Or like, we're too out here.
Mm-hmm.
We need to come in and start understanding our beautiful personal relationship that we have with our guides and God. It doesn't matter what, you know, thing you subscribe to. We have that. We have that incredible, unique, beautiful, personal relationship. And when you start asking, hey, how do you guys communicate with me, with my soul? That's not in a book. I can't even tell you, right? I mean, I work on behalf of and service to God and guides and humanity. I would never tell you, hey, you know, this is blah, blah, blah. It's my job to lead you to them because we are the same. You know, we have the same brilliance. We've just forgotten that. And until we start remembering that via healing, via faith, so that's why it's like faith, healing, life purpose is what the path is. That's the path, you know? And because we have such a unique, every single one of us, including moms, we have a unique purpose that's outside of, you know, parenting. Because that's a beautiful, that's a whole other purposeful process, right? Could be wound healing process, could be, you know, people have special needs kids, and that's a big deal, right? And but if we can try to remember, speaking, you know, specifically then to like moms, is like, if we can try to start just playing with the idea that like, hey, you're separate from your own, it's in energetically, no, we're all part of each other, but our souls are here for a very unique experience. Wounds may look the same or come from similar, you know, places, but they affect us, every one of us, differently. You know, they come into our energy body differently, they stagnate differently, they get compiled on differently, you know, and so to start, just because it doesn't hurt, like what will it hurt at this point, is just start saying, okay guys, like I'm gonna buy into this and start showing up in this huge way, you know, because I'm going to have a little bit of, I'm a little skeptical, but I want to understand this because I want to find my own power.
Mm-hmm.
I want to understand my own strength. I want to understand that all the things, and you, that's right, you brought that up, all the things that I'm victimizing myself over don't matter. And you said something about that, is like, you're right, you know, there is a huge population of people that their entire identities are being victims.
Mm.
And what I see with that is, you know, because if you're not a victim, so number one, being a victim is asking people, hey, look at me like I'm powerless, okay?
Mm. It's giving
It's,
that power to someone else, isn't it? It's not
yeah,
yourself.
it's like, hey, I'd rather you look at me as powerless than me take responsibility for myself. Because there's a lot of adults on the planet who are incredibly enabled by everyone around them, or maybe they don't have people around them, but they're enabled to be in that. And so to trade in, you know, here's my victim card, and I'm going to just take my power and responsibility and start seeing why I'm here on the planet, because it's time to be doing that. And that's hard for a lot of people, because sometimes it's the only way that they experience love is by people's pity. Or, you know, they can't ask, you know, for closeness or what it is, because they don't know what they need. So, but all that they know is that, like, well, this stuff that comes towards me because I'm a victim is feeding my wounds.
To leave, and that's their journey, is it? That's just, you have to protect yourself from them, and just say, I accept how you are, and I will give that to you, but I will keep that for me, because I know you'll hurt me if I let you in.
Yeah, it's a sad thing. Like, my mom would be, you know, my mom and my parents are older parents, you know, they're both passed away, but my mom, I saw her, not my birth mother, my mom, I saw her always as this really, she couldn't be very in her power when she was here, but like, I always saw her as this powerful, beautiful woman who did not take any of that power. You know, she didn't vibrate in any of that or show up that way. And then she was Catholic. And my mom went her entire life being victimized, to the point where she got incredibly paranoid towards, you know, her older age. And because she thought she was horrible for having been divorced and, you know, all these things, she wouldn't go, she sat in the back of the church, she wouldn't take Eucharist. She died by herself. Unexpectedly, like on my brother's kitchen floor, but like, she lived her whole life in victimization. And of course, I mean, my mom's with me every day, all day, and she's in her power now, but you know, there was nothing I could ever say to her long before she wasn't around when I was a realtor when she passed away, but people in that older age group, they just don't know any other way. And I'm mind blown to see that we can hold out hope. So don't, you know, so the best thing that you can do for her is, you know, if you do the breathing the light, or you meditate, whatever, you call on your peeps, and just, you know, at the end also say, hey, also, I'm sending my love so that her heart can, you know, she can be witness to her own power before she leaves here. You know, so that she can start letting go of this blanket. It looks like a blanket of victimization, like, you know, like it's her company. It's what keeps her company. So if you took that from her, then what would she identify with? You
Mm.
know, what could she curl up in a ball with?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's real. You know, that's real. It's not a judgment. It's just like sometimes that is what keeps people company. Also, you know, people who overeat. You know, I was on the summit, What We Crave, Emotional Eating, and I was the only, you know, healer on. I mean, there's a lot of people who do supplements and stuff, but it's like, you know, what it comes down to is food is company for deep loneliness.
Mm.
And so if you've got a cabinets full of food and a fridge full of food that is like not great for you, whatever, you have a whole bunch of company in your kitchen. You're not alone, you know, and as crazy as that sounds, it's still the truth, because we're all in so much pain. We need to turn compassion towards ourselves, all of us. No, it doesn't matter who we are. It's like, hey, you were courageous enough to come in here and take a body. This is not easy. It wasn't meant to be easy. And, you know, have compassion for yourself and start turning towards spirit, you know, your guides and God. And like, I rely on my parents, and, you know, I take my mom to shop for furniture with me and whatever, because she uses it's like, I literally do. She found me this table here in my clinic, and we start really, even if we're physically alone in this on the planet, we're not alone. We're never alone. Never, never, never. Doesn't matter what we've done, what we think we've done, what we haven't done, like all the things we tell ourselves. I wasn't a perfect parent. Well, who is? Who is? You know, that's something that's crazy. This is coming up because we're talking to parents here, and something incredible. You know, I adopted a little boy. He's now 18, but when he was 14 months old, and it's a long story, but my mom passed away, you know, shortly after. She never got to meet him or anything, because we hadn't talked in a couple years. And a psychic actually said, hey, is your mom on the other side? And I said, no. And then I was like, well, God, I don't know, maybe actually. And so I called her at midnight Chicago time, and she answered, so I hung up. And then, but I was like, oh God, as paranoid as she is, she probably thinks somebody cut the phone line. Because she absolutely would. So I called back. I was like, Mom. And we had, because she was not great. You know, I went through a lot because my mom wasn't in her power enough to put a stop to a lot of things. And so what's beautiful is, before we crossed, you know, it was 2 weeks before she passed away unexpectedly, but we had the most beautiful conversation for 6 hours. And I said, Mom, like, because I had a little boy now who had high special needs from the circumstances of his birth, high special needs. And I said, Mom, I never realized that you're just a human being, because you were my mom. Makes me want to cry. This is funny. I haven't thought of this in a long time. And it wasn't until I became a parent myself that I realized this shit is hard.
Suddenly you forgive your parents, don't you? Because you find a way. Everyone.
And on my best day, I'm not doing enough. And I know that. And it, you know, and it's painful. It's painful until you just say, I know I'm doing my best. But it was such a beautiful thing to realize, like, I freed my mom up too. I was like, man, you did your best. Even though, you know, it wasn't awesome. It was your best. We wouldn't do anything other than our best, especially for our kids. But like, in general, Nobody sets out every day to be like, I am going to be a complete asshole today. Unless maybe they, some people may because of mental illness, but it's like, nobody does that.
Mm.
Everybody wakes up and we show up and we do our best.
Mm.
We can't do better than that.
Mm.
So we have to forgive ourselves. We have to let ourselves off the hook, and definitely let our parents off the hook.
And then hope that our kids let us off the hook as well, because
right.
Goes on.
Yeah, but what's cool about that is if you start teaching them forgiveness now,
yeah,
instead of waiting until they're pissed and like won't talk to you, is like start teaching, be the example of forgiveness and being like, you know what? I've been carrying a lot of emotional pain thinking my mom didn't, for instance, my mom did not love me. I'm not valued. I wasn't worth her giving a shit. None of that was true. I sure internalized it that way though, but none of it was even true.
Mm.
And like, you spend your whole life dragging that shit around. I'm just like my mom or whatever. And it's like, it doesn't matter. They did their best and so are you. So let yourself off the hook and start coming in here, and you want to do better and better and better. The only reason that we don't show up better is because we're trying to show up without ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to show up without any support, without any guidance, any real guidance. It's available to all of us. We are all brilliant, very intuitive beings. If we take off all that crap and just start asking, all right, which door should I open here? Here are my choices. A, B, da. Can you show me, can you slam one of those doors in my face? And they will. Spirit will do that. You ask and you shall receive is not a cliche. You literally can live that way. You go into your day, if you for instance, if you do the breathing the light, you put your feet on the ground, you wake up in the morning, good morning, you beautiful thing. We've got a big day ahead of us. Any thoughts that don't belong to me or are not serving me my highest good, you need to leave. Thank you. Help me use my voice today. That's a big one for women. Help me use my voice. Calm this anxiety. Who cares where it came from? I just need to calm it down so that my energy body can start moving and releasing stagnation so that I can be in my highest vibration. Let me heal my heart. I love you. It's this whole thing that's within that exercise that there's a video of. And take time on your heart. Do that. You can shorten it to 3 minutes, but then you go into your day and you just say, help me do my best today. I'm paying attention. My life is worth it, right? Lead me to and through any healing that I have not yet done, that I said I would, and be with me on the, walk next to me. We have to ask them. It's a spiritual law. And lead me towards purpose, whatever that is. Whatever it is, lead me to it. I'm paying attention. It's no harder than that. It's really no harder than that. You don't need to go to some, $2,000 workshop and, listen to loud music to get amped up. You actually need to bring it in, calm it down, and start connecting with your peeps, because they're here for it. We ask them to be. It's no harder than that. And ask again, repeating on their behalf, ask, how do you communicate with me? Because see, like me, I went before God after I signed up for all my wounds. I filled my basket with wounds, and then I was in this beautiful collaboration with God. I decided upon and agreed upon this incredible life purpose. Did I know that? Heck no, this is a huge surprise to me. I've been a paramedic, a realtor, a million other things in the 100 lives I've had within this life. Me standing in this life purpose, all I did was ask. I didn't one day say, I think I'm going to be, I'll call it etheric medicine. And I'm going to figure out how to see the meridians and then the energy, buddy. I didn't even know what etheric meant when Spirit gave me that name. I'm not kidding you. I had to Google it. And then I'm Spirit taught. I never once said, all right, I'm going to start going to a bunch of classes. I'm going to start reading them. And then I am going to be a healer. And I never said that. What I said is, please guide me to life purpose.